Hi, everybody. Amber Freeland here. I have Tammy here. You guys are going to absolutely love her. We're going to have a little chit chat about raising your energetic frequency and what that means in your life, how we can actually change the channel through, I'm guessing, our thoughts and our emotions and our vibrational frequency to start attracting the things we actually want in our lives and to get out of continuously creating what we've already always created before. So, Tammy, I'm so happy to have you here today. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation. I know there's a ton of amazing heart centered entrepreneurs right here tuning in. And so, this conversation is perfect for that.
Yes.
I am going to be interviewing some of our incredible mass content systems clients over the next month or two and really bringing their heart and soul to the world. And so, Tammy, before we dive into the really deep, nitty gritty stuff, I want to share what you're loving about being inside mass content systems, working with us almost every day in this incredible community that's being created. We're working to do research to get everyone's work out in front of the right audience so that sales becomes easier, so that marketing and lead generation becomes easier. So before we dive into the really, really good stuff, would you mind just sharing from the heart? What are you loving most about the program so far?
Well, everything. So, being with you and Christian, I recently just met came to know about you, and being in
Mhm.
here, I felt a resonance the moment that I saw you, and being in here with you, you are so authentic. You both of you are like you can just feel that your heart is in it. It's not just about giving out information. It's like you really care. You answer all the questions. Um, you interact with us. I almost think that when it's over, I'm going to be really bummed because I got
Mm.
used to being with you guys
Mhm.
every day just for a few weeks, and it just I've been in a lot of programs, and this one really feels like the care and the excitement to watch what's being created and what's continuing to be created. My mind is like it's trying to take it all in, but it's almost so amazing, and I'm excited to be part of the beginning of this.
Oh my gosh. Thank
And
you for that.
the information itself is I've sat because of the energy work I do
Mhm.
and the way I think. Um, it's not that I can't connect with my potential clients or my ideal clients. It's how do I talk to them? And in everything that's set up in mass content, it's bringing forth information that's like I didn't think of that myself. And now
Mm.
it's even what I've seen is it's helping me to think more. It's given me a foundation even for thinking things that I felt stuck for years. I mean, setting going, I don't really know what to type. I don't know what to put. And I have all these ideas and information, but it was like stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not stuck in a lot of other places, but there I was stuck. And now I just read everything that the system's coming up with. I'm like, oh, wow, so cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm having the same experience too because Christians built it and our team is building it. And I'm more on the using user side than the development side personally too. So I completely understand what you're saying. And I feel like we have these great ideas and a lot of times entrepreneurs and coaches and healers, we put content out into the world hoping that it resonates. And when it doesn't for a long time, people get discouraged. And they don't understand how to speak to their audience, but their work is so insanely valuable. And what been able to see, and I'm so grateful, is that people are finally getting the shine that they deserve. People are finally getting their deep value that, when you work with a client, they come and they say, oh my gosh, like this is so amazing. I love this. I feel this. This is what I needed. But it's like the bigger problem is how to get that out in the first place so that the right people can see and hear you. And so that's the whole goal, obviously, of the whole program. And to hear that that's what's happening for clients is so, so fulfilling. And for me, again, as using it too, it's really cool because we can put in our idea and then we get out just like a nicely buttoned up final draft perfect version. And I'm just excited for everyone to keep getting more and more people reaching out to them saying, hey, you're speaking my language. This is what I'm looking for. I was asking for this. Thank you for showing up in my life. And now that we're seeing so much of that, I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey too, and so happy that you said yes and chose to join us.
So am I.
Yeah. So let's pivot a little bit. And, if you could, I think the best place to start is because there's a lot of healers here, there's a lot of coaches here. We all are doing this beautiful, deeper work. But, how do you see personally, how do you see like raising your elevation and starting to become a magnet for the future version of yourself and the things that you want to create in the world? Like, how would you, if you were to explain the fact that that's the way the world works to someone who doesn't really know that yet, what are some thoughts that come up right away just thinking about this topic in general?
Well, it's one we're definitely not taught about, and it took me a while. I've been sensitive to energy and spirits and everything since I was a little kid. So this is
Mhm.
natural and normal to me. It's the
Yeah.
world I love living in, and want more people to live in this world. And finally, people are
Mm.
the energetic part of us, the higher part of us. But really tuning into that, we've lived so much in the heaviness of the world that when we start to tune into that higher part of us, who we really are, that spiritual side of us, then the world starts to look different and feel different, and we feel more in charge of our path. So many
Yeah.
people will say, I'm lost, I don't know my purpose, I don't, but when you get into this higher place, this lighter, more expansive place that we're able to move into vibrationally, life opens up different. Everything is brighter. It's like you clean the window that you didn't know was dirty for so long.
That's a good way to put it. I never thought about that, like cleaning the window. Well, can I share something with you and then tell me what you think and how it pertains to this? I made myself sit still and put a 20-minute timer on today and just sit still and just completely stop. And
Mhm,
I like to do visualization meditation and like guided meditation a lot. I like to guide meditation too,
mhm,
but my mind is constantly going and I feel that. I know that. I witness it. And thankfully, it's not so much, how do I put this? The thoughts are becoming a lot more positive and it's more like affirmations that are flowing through me because I'm thinking about it. But when I wasn't, and in the recent past, and say like the past 5 years, it was a ton of like worry, stress, and fear.
mhm,
And so I guess what's my question exactly? When I put the 20-minute timer on and I sat still, I did notice like some similar thoughts that coming up, like to-do list things and stuff like that. But then I just kind of relaxed into it and focused on my breathing. And, without really trying hard to do anything, I feel wonderful. So, what would you say to someone who's just starting to work on raising their vibration and how it pertains to that like simple meditation practice?
hmm. Well, like you said, I too like to do guided meditations
Mhm.
because I've never been one to just go in that set and clear your mind, because we have a lot going on. And
Mhm.
I see things moving like computers where everything is really fast for us
Yeah.
as our vibration gets higher, and
Ah.
so it's okay. I think we're trying to resist that movement, and there's energetically, or energy moves, and we've been taught, and this is actually something that I'm talking about right now with you, that I channel, so things come through that I wasn't even thinking about. But the
Perfect.
fact that the energy moves, and so we've been taught to go quiet your mind, which is actually feels resistant, because what are you trying to do is stop things from coming into
Yeah. It's
your mind.
fighting against what's happening.
And anytime there's resistance, it actually pulls us into a lower frequency, and it's more, it doesn't feel as good. So what happens if we just let things move and not necessarily catch on to them? Because our life is created, our frequency is from our thoughts that we grab onto, give an emotional attachment to, and then have a feeling, and that feeling is the frequency that goes out and then creates our experience. And so if we just were to let the thoughts move without grabbing onto any of them, there's
Ah.
no resistance. But you're not trying to get rid of the getting rid of anything is a resistant feeling, because nothing is, it just all moves. Energy just constantly moves. It's not meant to be gotten rid of. It transforms and transmutes and changes, but it doesn't, we don't get rid of it.
That's amazing, because I've often thought about emotions like water, like flow. It's just flowing through me. It's not hurting me. There's
Mhm.
nothing painful about this. It's just flowing in, flowing out. You know, I like to think of money the same way, because I had to overcome a lot of money mindset stuff, and I wanted to hold on to things. And it's like, no, it's going to flow out and come back in. And, you know, that's all like very fluid for me. And
Mhm.
so I see the same thing when you talk about those emotions.
Mhm.
And so how do we actually raise our frequency? Like, how is that different than what we've talked about so far?
Raising it. So it's I call it the station you're on, right? Because I
Okay.
always think I was alive in the 70s and 80s when we had the old radio, where you had to dial it into all the stations. So
Yep.
that's what we're doing. We're all a channel for whatever frequency we're closest proximity to, or in the
Mhm.
spectrum of. That's what'll come in. And what I find easiest to shift your frequency is to move into the frequency of love, because that's the highest frequency. You also, excuse me, can't be in two frequencies at once. So if you are in the frequency of love, you cannot be in fear, doubt, worry, or any of those. You can only be in one. It's like being on two floors of a building. You can't be on both floors at the same time.
Okay.
You must choose
Big.
one.
That's huge.
And so if you choose love, drop into your heart, because to me, I always see everything as like moving. This is our frequency, comes from our heart. And they've actually proven that's the biggest electromagnetic field that comes off of you. So imagine that everything moves into your heart and then comes off as that frequency that you're sending out. Will go out and find things that are on that station, on that frequency, or similar to it, and bring those back as your life experiences. And
Yes.
so go into love, sit in love, and I also say appreciation. To me, those frequencies, because when you're in love, you appreciate, and when you appreciate, you're in love. And so you sit in that, and that also brings you to the present. So you can't be in worry, doubt, fear, all of you're not. When we go thinking about the past is when we get into those emotions, and thinking about the future, get anxious, worried, and all fearful.
Yep.
In the present, you're only right here. And
Right.
that's really all there is. The past, we only hold on to that which we have an emotional attachment to, whether that, excuse me, feels good or doesn't feel good. Otherwise, it disappears and it's not like it existed. If you don't have your memories are just an emotional attachment to an experience. And the future hasn't happened yet. And we basically base the future on what we experienced in the past, which just perpetuates same scenarios or fear of the same scenarios.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really important point that you made that I never thought about before. The level of the emotional attachment, positive or negative, is to the degree in which we hold on to that thing, and is to the degree in which we manifest in our lives through that. So like some things will happen, it doesn't really mean much to us. And so it doesn't stick to us. But some things come in and mean a lot. Either we're afraid of them a lot or we desire them a lot. And that's interesting to think about, because there's a whole heck of a lot of other things going on that just fly right by, you know?
And they're patterned fears and things that we hold on to, the ones that don't feel good, and they started in childhood. I even think of the little, I've seen kids in stores when the parent says they can't have something, but it's done in a way that upsets the child so much that
Totally.
then those are the things where we carry abandonment and rejection and all those feelings about stuff because of simple things like that we think, hey, that's no big deal. But emotionally, we hold on to that pain that happened in just a moment too. It doesn't mean it might have been an hour of time, but that hour, has led to
Yeah.
all sorts of other stuff that we hold on to, we fear, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. It's weird to think, for me personally, to think about the specific memories from childhood. Like, because they don't seem very like a really big deal.
Mhm.
They seem like little insignificant moments. Like I always use the example of like something that someone said when you walk past them in the grocery store, because it's just like one of those little things. Like it's not a big deal thing. There's been a lot of big things that have happened in our lives. But oftentimes it's this little tiny thing that someone says in passing that you'll never see for the rest of your life, but like it sticks with you for some reason.
But they compound.
Oh.
And all the energy work I do, I imagine it's like when we're kids, we create these buckets of emotion. And they can
Mhm.
be emotions that feel good or don't feel good, right? So you have
Mhm.
like I said, rejection or abandonment or um, fear of something, and then you
Yep.
have these buckets. And when we were kids, we this is all emotional. We don't think about doing it; it's subconscious. If something is similar to that feeling, it goes in the bucket. And then as we age, we have these experiences, and they go more quickly into the buckets, but they accumulate. And so it doesn't take much to go, that feels like that goes in that bucket. So now that's
Yeah.
tagged with that emotional
Oh my gosh.
attachment that doesn't feel good. And we carry all that stuff throughout life.
That's what
And
I was thinking. That's heavy.
well, and then but then you could start to clear it. And I
Okay.
do believe that when we go into the higher frequencies, like be in love, then that stuff bubbles up because now it's such a low frequency, it can't be with us as we move higher. So it comes
Mhm.
up, and that's when you start to understand how to allow it to move without resisting it. And if you have to cry or you get a little frustrated or upset, but you let it roll through, then it's processed and you don't carry it anymore.
Mhm. That makes perfect sense. That's huge too. When we don't attach to it and then put it somewhere to keep forever, allow it to flow around, be there, see it, be grateful for it, maybe let it go, actually feel it instead of resisting it and pushing down emotions and then carrying it without knowing it for the forever, really, right? Or
And that
until
becomes easier at the higher the frequency we are because
okay.
we're more expansive,
Yeah.
we're more open to moving. When you're in a lower frequency, like frustration, upset, fear, and all that, it's
Mhm.
tight. It'd be like being in this little box, and so everything's packed in and there's no movement.
Yeah.
The higher you go, the more open it becomes so everything can flow
Totally.
like
That's beautiful.
like a
Ha
fountain.
yeah, I can see it, and what I see is like a torus of energy when you're doing this. I
Mhm.
see like our magnetic field can
Yes.
expand and we can
Mhm.
there's definitely a lot of movement there, and the next question I have for you is, have you done any thought or have you thought or done any work around like moving the physical body to move these emotions and these things out? And the reason I ask is because when I go to the gym, I'm
Mhm.
significantly happier. And
Mhm.
I just feel like physical movement allows us to process this stuff too. And I'm curious if you've had any thoughts around that before.
I think it does too, but I do most of the work on energetic level because
Hmm.
the physical is denser, slower. So
Yeah,
everything we do up here energetically, it ends up coming out in the physical, but it's more delayed.
that's
So
cool.
when we move our body, it means we've already moved the energy
Got
anyway,
it.
because
Got it.
the physical is like I don't want to say it's secondary, but it's slower moving. So by the
Okay.
time you're moving that, like exercising, you've already invited the energetic movement of the whatever to
Oh
be
my,
able to come out. So
amazing.
it isn't just through the physical. The physical is it'd be like if you cry, if you're moving a low emotion and you cry, that's the physical movement, but that's after you've already started to move it energetically. So when you exercise or move like that, you've already started to move it on a higher level before that's just the form that you feel comfortable allowing it to flow.
Yeah, that's my personal form. Like some people love running and stuff like that too, right? It's
I
my
like my
choice.
rebounder,
Yeah, you mentioned
thing,
that earlier.
turn on music
Well,
and go.
that's good for you.
Mhm. Yeah, it has a lot of benefits.
So, what could one do to start working with this, raising their energetic frequency?
Yeah, well, like I said, and I'm gonna say it again, but it's not necessarily the easiest one, is to move into feeling love. being in
Feeling
a
love.
state of love. And it can be challenging, especially if, things going on around somebody in their life doesn't feel like they can easily love that. Um, Love does move energy, even in illness, relationships, everything. If we have resistance to money because we're angry or frustrated because it's not showing up, but you go and you love what you have, then that moves it. If you become more loving in a relationship, it moves the energy and raises it, and things are better.
Totally.
Same thing with health. If you are angry that something isn't working in your body, that's resistance. If you go over and you go, okay, let's see what we can do to heal whatever it is, and you move into that love energy again, it opens things up. There's no resistance in love. Love
Yeah.
feels good.
So the message of the day is there's no resistance in love. It's really all about love. That's what it comes down to.
We come from love. We
Mm-hmm.
are love.
We are
But
love.
the human experience is contrast, so we can go back to love.
So that we can appreciate it in the
Mm.
first place.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Oh, thank you.
I'm curious, how can people find you, work with you, inquire? I know you mentioned you're doing something really special right now. Is that still open for people to join, or is that
Yes,
okay? Perfect. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
it's called the high frequency vortex,
Mm.
and it's all about for the next 30 days. Well, it's open, but I start sharing the energy transmissions on the 18th, which is between the new moon and the solstice. And for 30 days, I'm going to share energy transmissions to raise those who join me's frequency. Because thinking about, like when you drive a car or fly a plane or a boat, they'll say that they have that destination, but if you change their direction, their trajectory 1 degree, just a tiny bit, they'll end up in a different place. So over
Yeah.
the 30 days, we're going to dial up our frequency together, and then in 30 days, see where we all end up.
Whoa.
And we don't ever go back. When you raise your frequency, even though you can bob up and down because that's just how it works, so we can have that contrast feeling. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's available right now. You can go to my website.
Okay.
It's createbyvibration.com.
Createbyvibration.com. And I'll be sure to put that in the description everywhere this video is posted.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to
Amazing.
the work with me page, it'll
Okay.
be on there. And then yeah, we're gonna play with that. I'm all about playing with energy. I love it. We move that energy and everything else changes.
That's
And
right.
even if you're focusing on one area, which it's easier to shift something if you focus on one thing, because it's more obvious than subtle when you're being too broad, is that everything else changes too, because you change your frequency, and then everything else in life has to change with that.
Yeah. Because like attracts like, and something lower frequency can't technically show up. So it's kind of interesting how people around you start to show up a little bit differently sometimes, which is awesome. And I've never been one to go out and like try to change people or anything, but I've noticed, oh, if I just change my perspective of what's happening in this relationship, for instance, and focus on the parts of it that I love, then it's kind of miraculous. People start showing up a lot more in the way that I love. It's crazy.
Because you're shifting where you're at. It doesn't matter what the world does around us, it's always about who we're being ourselves. Always. The
Mm-hmm.
whole world could crumble, and who you are right now and who you continue to elevate into will be what creates the world around you. So
Divine.
it's based on us, and we've been taught that we pay more attention to what goes on out there and then decide who we're going to be. You
Mm-hmm.
decide who you're going to be, and the world out there changes.
Bingo.
So
Thank you so much, Tammy. Okay, everyone tuning in, please follow Tammy. click the link around here, join in, and obviously, you know, send her a friend request, check out her website. Thank you so much for being a part of our world, Tammy. So grateful for you.
Thank you for creating the world to be a part of.
All right. Bye, everyone.